Hey everyone, welcome to another Modern Deck Tech. Today, Jund Enhance. This is a different type of modern deck tech. I'm calling it a light deck tech. Light because I didn't put a lot of play testing into this particular list. It's this new style of deck tech I think I'm going to be putting out more often. It allows me to share new ideas with you without having to put in all the hours of play testing. Because obviously play testing takes time. I adjust the decks 1,000 times before I actually present it to you. Light deck techs are essentially deck techs where it's an idea I tried it a bit, and I wanted to share it with you because I think it has some potential. And of course, you'll still get the usual, more deeper analysis deck techs where I actually put in, tens of hours and, 50 to 100 actual matches of gameplay. Those are still going to be in the works, of course, but at least I could share more ideas more frequently this way. That being said, before I get into the list, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button down below and that notification bell. Even the like button, those 3 clicks go a real long way in supporting this channel. I would deeply appreciate it. So here's the list. So let's take a look at it. At first glance, it almost looks like a Jund mid-range, Jund Death Shadow list. That's almost accurate. Of course, it has your typical Delver fine touches. One of them being, of course, I'm only playing 17 lands, which I know a lot of people are squeamish about, but it works relatively well in this deck. And I'm calling it Jund Enhance. It's a name that I came up with because I'm super creative. But no, not really. I came up with it because I'm playing some cards that allow you to enhance your creatures, and I think you see that on the list in front of you right now. I'm going to be going a bit more in depth in the next screen, but right now I just wanted to share with you the general idea here. It's a general mid-range play, although you shouldn't be too worried about hurting yourself because this deck can not only gain you a decent amount of life, you also can just play Death Shadow mid to late game and beat your opponent the more traditional way. You have a decent amount of removal. Of course, you're playing red and black, so you have a lot of access to efficient removal, and you have your discard spells as well. The sideboard could also be modified to your liking, but this sideboard, I think, works pretty well. So, let's actually get to the synergy so I could describe this deck a bit more. The idea I had was, well, I wanted to build a deck that allowed me to enhance my creatures, give them a little extra edge, and win that way. Simple as that, not necessarily a unique idea, but I wanted to give it a shot, especially with the new equipments that were recently released. You're looking at one of them right now, Blade of the Oni. I had more of these from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, but they didn't really work out. Blade of the Oni was the obvious one that stuck out from the rest, so I made it into the list. In and of itself, it's a 3/1 with Menace, which is not that bad for 2 CMC, but once you reconfigure it to a creature, then, well, that creature all of a sudden becomes a bit of a problem. You could even reconfigure Noble Hierarch, and then all of a sudden it's a 5/5 with Exalted and Menace. So that's a thing. And what's great is when the creature dies, you can reuse Blade of the Oni, and that was a lot of the idea for Rancor as well as for Demonic Embrace. These are cards that, if you do lose them, you generally get them back, or you can cast them back. And I really like that idea. It means you don't have to run too many of them because, if one gets discarded or whatever, you can get it back into your hand. Shadow Spear is the only one that kind of sticks out here. It kind of non-bows with Death Shadow because here you're gaining life, but generally speaking, if you've attached this to a relatively large creature, it doesn't really matter if you don't cast your Death Shadows for a while. You're probably doing good in other departments. But yeah, this is the Enhance package that I settled on. I definitely had way more at the beginning, but I narrowed it down to these 4. And of course, there are the creatures. There are some interesting selections. I'm sure for some of you you would think that these are your typical Delver selections. Death Shadow, Dragon's Channeler, Ragavan, those are your 1-drops. Those are pretty standard. I don't think I need to go too much in depth about these creatures. In depth about these creatures. Tarmogoyf, of course. I love Tarmogoyf. I'm going to try and shove it into every deck that I play. Now, Huntmaster, I'm going to skip Blood Vial here for a second here. Huntmaster of the Fells, as you all know, has a special place in my heart. Maybe even more special than Delver Secrets and Tarmogoyf. I love this card. I will find any opportunity and excuse to play it into a deck. And as you all know, if you've been watching Delver for the past 2 years and all the matches I've ever posted, Huntmaster has a pretty consistent record. The minute it hits the battlefield, within 2 rounds, game's over. Or within two turns, I should say, the game's over. Huntmaster just wins games. It's just how it is. If it survives, it wins you the game. And I figured some number of them will fit in this deck, since it's more of a mid-range deck anyway. You can get away with it. Now, Blood Vial Purveyor. When this was first spoiled last year, I said I really wanted to, in my review of the set, I said I really wanted to give it a shot. And I finally did, almost 6 months later. And I have to say, I'm warm to Blood Vial Purveyor. I'm not super hot for it. I'm not cold for it either. The blood tokens that you give your opponent are fine. Your opponent does have to also discard, so it's not necessarily always going to be a win-win. But yes, it does give them, an opportunity to filter out their cards. That being said, what I've also noticed is that it kind of forces them to do it. Every single opponent I saw, and I didn't play that many games, but every opponent that I saw that were getting those tokens, they were using them like immediately. They did not want, like, they would like not cast spells just so they can spend that 1 mana to, get rid of that blood token, because they didn't want my Blood Vial Purveyor to be a 6/6, or even with Exalted even worse. They just didn't want to make it get any bigger. So I found that interesting. They might have just been misplaying it. They might have been overvaluing the blood tokens. Nonetheless, that's what I noticed, and I don't know, Blood Vial Purveyor did pretty well. So this was the creature package I decided on, and I was pretty happy with it. Now, of course, in my normal deeper analysis deck techs, you would see the matchup analysis, but of course, since I didn't play as much matches, I don't feel comfortable giving you that kind of analysis. So instead, I'll just turn it to you. What do you think about my Jund Enhance deck? What cards would you play? What cards would you not play? I'm seriously asking. I don't necessarily just want to get comments, active for whatever weird reasons. I do want to hear from you. This is the kind of part of the idea for these light deck techs. I would love to hear what you think you would do if you were to pick up this list. If you do pick it up, definitely would love to hear from you on how you felt it played. And let me know about the whole light to deck tech idea as well. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you enjoy my content in general, please subscribe and hit that notification bell down below. Those few clicks go a really long way in helping others find my content and helps my channel grow. Follow me on Twitter and Facebook, share my content on social media. That also helps others find their way to my videos and spreads the word even further. And of course, if you like making money, check out my Patreon page. The link is in the description of this video. In particular, check out the Patreon rewards program. Basically works like this. You give me your Patreon dollars every month. I buy and open up sealed product on this channel using those dollars. And I send you back that money at the end of every year in the form of rares and mythics. You get 1 non-bulk rare or mythic for every consecutive month you've been a patron, and every card is worth anywhere between $3 and $15. But I mean, even if you lowball it at an average of $5 per card, you're at the very least getting your money back, but odds are you're getting even more. There are a lot more details on my Patreon page, so check it out. Thanks, and have a good one.